Imagine if I told you that Cyclops, the determined and disciplined leader of the X-Men, was molded from a young age to serve a purpose he might never have truly chosen. That's right. And this influence came from none other than Professor Xavier, the very mentor many of us see as the heart of the X-Men. In this video, we're diving into a story packed with tension and revelations, where Xavier's control over Cyclops might have been far greater than any of us ever imagined. Did Cyclops ever have a chance to become the hero he wanted to be? Together, let's uncover how young Cyclops was placed at the forefront of the X-Men, the pressure that came with it, and his choices, often against his own will. Could it be that the loyal hero we know was a Cyclops imprisoned by Xavier's expectations? So, what do you think? Should Cyclops have carved out his path free from that influence? Get ready to see a side of Cyclops that few people know. From early on, Professor Xavier saw potential for leadership in Scott Summers, the future Cyclops. But that vision came with intense pressure, molding young Scott not into who he wanted to be, but into who Xavier envisioned. Cyclops became the face of the X-Men before he could fully understand his powers and desires. Xavier pushed him down a path of relentless leadership, almost as if failure wasn't an option, as if he couldn't be anything less than perfect. But did this truly set him free? Or did it trap Cyclops in a mask of heroism that was never entirely his own? Imagine if Scott had the chance to discover himself, free from the chains of Xavier's expectations. How different might his destiny have been if he could choose whether or not to bear that responsibility? At times, Xavier's control seemed benevolent, but beneath it lay an unyielding desire to mold Scott at any cost. Was the mentor truly preparing a hero, or just a soldier loyal to his cause? What do you think? Did Cyclops have the freedom to forge his path, or was he just following a script that was never his? Over time, the relationship between Cyclops and Xavier grew increasingly strained. As Scott Summers became a leader, he began to realize that perhaps his choices weren't as free as he once thought. Every decision seemed to carry Xavier's shadow, and whenever Scott tried to pull away from that control, it led to silent, painful confrontations. There were moments when Cyclops questioned his mentor's orders, wondering if it was truly necessary to follow every plan to the letter. But could he challenge the man who had shaped his entire life? This internal conflict only became more visible over time. Now imagine standing in Cyclops' shoes. Could you challenge someone who had always been a guiding figure and source of admiration? Scott began to feel torn between being the perfect leader that Xavier wanted and following his instincts. There were countless times he almost walked away from it all, trapped between his loyalty to Xavier and his desire to control his destiny. These moments of doubt were revealing, showing that behind the hero we know is a Cyclops longing for freedom, yearning to make his own choices. And you? Have you noticed this tension in Cyclops? Share your thoughts. These conflicts speak volumes about the price of being a hero. At his breaking point, Cyclops made a bold and unexpected decision. Feeling increasingly suffocated by his mentor's expectations, he entered a rebellious phase, searching for a path that truly felt like his own. And in that journey, Cyclops drew closer to Magneto, a choice that shocked everyone, as seeing the loyal leader of the X-Men alongside one of the group's greatest rivals seemed unthinkable. But perhaps this was the only way Scott could break free from the invisible chains Xavier had placed upon him. By aligning with Magneto, he began to explore a side of himself that Xavier had always tried to suppress. This alliance was, without a doubt, a turning point. With Magneto, Cyclops not only tested his own limits, but also the values he had always been taught. Each decision he made alongside Magneto seemed to reveal a more authentic Cyclops, someone who was finally beginning to question what it truly meant to be a hero. And this new perspective deeply impacted the dynamics of the X-Men and the way everyone saw Scott. So, what do you think? Were Cyclops right to make this choice, or should he have remained loyal to Xavier? Drop your thoughts in the comments on what you would have done in his place. Even after joining forces with Magneto, Cyclops still felt the weight of Xavier's influence in every decision he made. This rebellious phase had led him to deeply question the values of the X-Men and the type of leader he truly wanted to be. Yet it didn't erase the lingering doubts about his loyalty. Challenging Xavier wasn't just a break from his past. It was a risky step that could forever alter how others perceived him. But with each choice he made on his own, Scott began to realize that true leadership might indeed mean going against the mentor who had shaped his life. True independence came at a price that he was beginning to feel in a painful way. This journey wasn't easy. Even while yearning for the freedom to become the hero he envisioned, he knew that as long as he was under Xavier's critical eye, his leadership would never truly be his own. Every step toward independence brought a mix of clarity and pain, as he realized that to build his legacy, he might have to lose the support of the one who had always guided him. In the end, he understood that the path of an authentic leader isn't always understood by everyone, and his journey could distance him from some of the X-Men. So, what would you do? Should a leader stay true to the teachings they received, or carve their path, even if it causes divisions? This transformation revealed parts of Cyclops that perhaps even Xavier hadn't imagined. As he distanced himself from his mentor's control, Scott began making bolder and, to some, even controversial choices. These decisions marked a deep break, a Cyclops who no longer feared challenging expectations and who sought to be a hero in his way. But for Scott, each risky choice was a step toward being true to himself. He knew he could never lead with authenticity while bearing someone else's expectations. This new Cyclops, stronger and more resolute, started drifting from the old ideals of the X-Men, revealing himself as a figure few had anticipated. With this transformation, Cyclops took on a leadership defined by the courage to confront what was once uncertain. Breaking away from the idealized hero image that Xavier had projected required a kind of boldness that few could understand. Now, he led not only with strength but with deep questions, accepting that his choices might be seen as a challenge to the very spirit of the X-Men. Some members began to view him with suspicion, feeling that he was becoming closer to an anti-hero, someone who placed his judgment above any teaching. And what do you think of this evolution? Do you believe Cyclops needed this courage to become truly authentic? Or did he go too far, straying from the legacy Xavier built? Throughout this intense journey full of painful choices, Cyclops ultimately became someone far beyond what Xavier had envisioned. Bearing the weight of his mentor's expectations and the challenge of leading a complex group like the X-Men, Scott Summers evolved, step by step, into an authentic leader who sought to follow his principles. This transformation was a tough process of self-discovery, marked by moments of rupture and the courage to challenge everything he had been taught. Cyclops moved beyond being the idealized hero to become a symbol of strength and independence, someone who chose to embrace his destiny in his way. Today, when we look at Cyclops, we see someone who dared to defy the role that Xavier had mapped out for him. He became a leader who, in the end, chose his own identity, breaking the invisible chains that bound him to the past. But this change raises an inevitable question. Did Cyclops become the leader Xavier always wanted, or did he grow into the hero that Xavier never imagined? And what do you think? Does Cyclops represent the leader Xavier envisioned, or a hero who built his legacy? Scott's journey is a powerful reminder that sometimes we must question everything we were taught to be true to ourselves. Cyclops' journey is one of the most intense and revealing within the X-Men universe. From the beginning, he bore the responsibility of leadership and loyalty to Xavier's teachings, but over time, he discovered that this loyalty also brought limits that held him back from becoming who he truly wanted to be. The internal struggle between meeting his mentor's expectations and following his path was transformative. Cyclops became more than the idealized leader. He became someone willing to challenge what was expected, someone who dared to build his legacy. And this journey isn't just about powers. It's about the strength of a hero who decided to make his own choices. Perhaps Cyclops' true strength doesn't lie in his powers, but in the courage to finally break free and choose his destiny. He became a leader the X-Men needed, though not everyone was ready to accept him. So here's the big question. Is Cyclops the hero Xavier always wanted, or the one Xavier never imagined? Share your thoughts on Scott's journey and how you view the relationship between him and Xavier. And if you enjoyed this analysis and want to dive deeper into characters who challenge their fates, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. In our next video, we'll bring you the story of another hero who dared to break boundaries and redefine their path.